Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for stopping by for another episode here at All I See Is W. In today's video, we'll be covering the latest updates with Bitcoin. We'll be doing technical analysis of Bitcoin. Most of you are wondering how high Bitcoin can really go in this cycle, as well as deep dive analysis, price predictions of Bitcoin treasury companies, as well as Ethereum treasury companies, including the Bitcoin miners. Now, if you're new to this channel, first off, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Let's begin, guys. First off, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So we're looking at Bitcoin on the daily chart. We did see some pullback with Bitcoin getting down to like 115,000, and all of that was attributed to the news with the crypto updates from the government. Supposedly, it didn't go through with it being passed, and there was updates around like a 2011 whale selling off half of his Bitcoin. So he had, tens of thousands of Bitcoin and he sold off half. And this caused the price for a Bitcoin to drop. However, just with the last couple of hours, we're seeing Bitcoin pulling back up with its price, now getting close to 118,000. I think this is a normal course that we do expect, just with Bitcoin having a run up to 123,000. Relative strength wasn't significantly high. I mean, it was at 75. It's considered high once it gets up to like 85, 90 plus. But with this, run up with Bitcoin price, we should expect for a cool off with, a small correction before that next leg up. One of the things to keep in mind is we're still hovering above the Ichimoku cloud. That's a good thing. And, with the prior, tests when we were like below the Ichimoku cloud, Bitcoin was at 75,000. I mean, we were in this long-term consolidation below the cloud for many months. I think there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, but once we got out of that cloud zone, it was sunshine and rainbows. We were just hovering, stable, steady increase with Bitcoin price going up. But that doesn't end here because Bitcoin has potential for it to go up even further beyond where it is. I'm forecasting at this rate, we're going to hit somewhere around 180 to 200,000 by year end. Let's take a look at technical analysis of MSTR. So even though we saw Bitcoin, having a correction day, I mean, MSTR held up pretty well. I mean, down by 1.93%. I mean, it's now at $442. We're not too far away from its previous all-time high of $540, which is back in November where we had that left cut formation, but since then we've been just consolidating, this U shape, and now we're on this right shoulder, inverse head and shoulder, the cup and handle formation, you name it, and we're also seeing MACD improvements, relative strength steadily increasing. So this is a good sign, with MSTR showing some bullish trends with today dropping by, less than 2%. Not to worry, we're expecting for a nice breakout. And, with Bitcoin getting to, 200K, we're looking at this zone, $1,000 for strategy. Let's take a look at MetaPlanet. So today, MetaPlanet dropped by, 9%, currently at $10.58. We definitely see a pullback from its recent run up back in May. So actually, it's been about 2 months now, 8 weeks since that all-time high, that price discovery. Relative strength was extremely overbought at 94. And after that, it's just been consolidating at this new support level. But, just with where we are right now, just with RSI stabilizing and, we have a MACD bearish histogram formation. I'm forecasting that as we head into the remainder of July, August, we're going to see a nice bounce back into the $17. Why is that the case? The fact that Bitcoin price is going up, MetaPlanet, they're in unrealized profit gains right now with just hodling Bitcoin, and they are like in the top five hodl right now, having a lot more Bitcoin than most companies that are adopting the Bitcoin Treasury playbook. So be on the lookout. MetaPlanet is going to have a nice run up, even though the last couple of weeks it's just been quiet around this area. Let's take a look at Mara. So today, Mara dropped slightly 2.34%, and that was expected just with Bitcoin price, correcting. But one of the things that we're seeing from that, really low RSI when it was oversold 25, sub $9, it's climbed up significantly already, but it's not climbing up too fast. That's a good thing. You don't want it to like just blast off. Relative strength is not significantly high. I mean, the run up top from, you know, back then, back in 2023, $31. I mean, RSI was 80 plus. Where we are right now, we're expecting for a potential, you know, break up to $25 on the near term, and then it'll be a matter of time once we climb back into that $30 range. But I have the sweet spot in the next coming weeks up to $26 for Mara, so be on the lookout. Let's take a look at RIOT Platforms. So we're looking at it through the lens of a long-term duration right now from a year-to-year perspective. One of the key things I want to highlight is that RIOT on the weekly, it's been, consolidating in this channel for quite some time, for many years now. So what is this telling us? I mean, relative strength has been dormant for many years now, since 2021 when it ran up to like 89, when the price shot up from $3 to $90. So anything can happen. I mean, with the price, it's hovering right around that range to break out of this long-term bull flag. And if it can get to like 1350, we may very well be off to the races for a big potential squeeze. Will history repeat itself? Only time will tell, but just be on the lookout for RIOT Platform. Let's take a look at CleanSpark technical analysis, and you see this beautiful consolidation. I mean, yes, it's painful to see it go down, but on the good news is like from June onward, we've seen it break out of this bull flag. Now the Bulls are in favor after this heavy pullback. I think CleanSpark has potential now that we're seeing a reversal on the RSI, the MACD intersection. We're beginning to see the price climb up, and I'm forecasting we're going to hit somewhere around that high $21 in the coming weeks for CleanSpark. So be on the lookout. They're increasing their hash rate, fleet efficiency catching up tomorrow. So, they're doing very well right now mining Bitcoin. And, at one point, the technicals are going to be in favor and we're going to see a blast off with the share price. Let's now pivot over to BTBT. So, what's so exciting about BTBT? So, on the updates with the company, they shifted its focus. They sold all of their Bitcoin treasury and used that funds to buy up Ethereum. Now we're also hearing of a new asset class with Ethereum treasury companies, with stocks like BMNR and SBET. But now BTBT is also in the game for hodling Ethereum. We're seeing Ethereum run up as well. I mean, just on the technicals with BTBT, with that news that came out back in, the 27th, we see the price shoot up all the way up to like, low $4, and it's just been pulling back right now. But I think just with the recent price action, relative strength is stabilizing right now. We're going to see some support on the near term established. Even in the aftermarket right now, it's shooting up because of Ethereum. I do see this potentially climbing up as we scale out through the rest of the year. We may very well have BTBT, with its white fiber initiative as well with AI. It may very well get to that $7 coming up very soon. So be on the lookout. We've seen these Ethereum, stocks just blast off, and BTBT may be one of them that has potential for a rocket launch. Let's take a look at BitDeer. So BTDR. Why do I like BitDeer? I mean, they manufacture the latest and greatest technology for Bitcoin mining. And what I like about them is just the technicals are screaming for a potential run up. So I'm going to be monitoring BTDR for tomorrow, possible call options. We had that dip along with all the other miners back in April. It climbed up significantly up to like, $16. On that high point back in January 2025, this was a $26 stock around that range of what HUT was at. But now, current price today, it dropped 7%. So with that pullback, that's, buying on the discount. I do see potential, like just holding on to it for a near term. You have a call option for like, let's say August, September. I mean, you have a strike price that's higher than where it currently is. You can make some bucks. Let's say if it gets up to like, 14, $16, you can capitalize on that. So that's what I'm going to be looking at tomorrow. So I hope that this really adds value to potential upside just with, riding the momentum swing. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed another episode at All I See Is W, where we talked about Bitcoin, Bitcoin Treasury stocks like strategy, MetaPlanet. We also covered, Bitcoin miners. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, subscribing for more related content. Thanks, guys.